We are live.
Yes. So hi, and welcome to Watch Me Code, episode 12, the retrospective. Kind of going to deviate a bit. If you've watched all the episodes so far, you know I can ramble on and talk forever and a day. So I've asked Arno to kind of moderate and try and keep us on topic. Arno.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, today this is a wrap-up, a retrospective of what you did for 11 episodes. Thanks a lot, Stephen, for all this hard work you achieved there. And today we will try to review with a few members of Apache Maven community and Jenkins project what you did and what are our feedbacks from your work. Today around the table or recording, we have Hervé Boutemi. Hervé, welcome.
Welcome.
You are a member of the Apache Maven PMC for now a long time.
Yes, nearly 10 years now.
Wow, well done. And we have Robert or Bobby Sandel. Welcome, Bobby. You are part of the Jenkins community.
Yep.
Those for a good number of years or so on your side.
Summer of 2010, I think, was my first commit.
Wow. Okay. In this session, I will try to interview all of you to have your feedback, and I will start by Stephen. Stephen, let's introduce yourself quickly. You already did it in the previous episodes, but.
Yeah, so I was trying to struggle to figure out which I actually started committing to first. I think Jenkins gets me as first committer, but I think I was kind of working with the Codehouse side project to Maven for longer. So like 2006, I've been contributing to the ecosystems of both projects, I think reasonably well. So like that's kind of where I come from in that regard. So that's kind of it. Do we want to move on to past introduction, or do you want to? What way do you want to go this?
No, it's good. Thanks a lot, Stephen. And Zeus, on your side, I will ask you what you wanted to do with this series. What were you expecting to show to others? It took a long time for you to record this episode. What was the goal for you?
Yeah, so like what this all started because we were discussing various different things at the Apache Maven project, and I was trying to describe what we could do with Jenkins for Hervé, and Hervé was not getting what I was meaning. My email was I guess I kind of felt my email was like I was telling Hervé, well, you know, we can put the widgets on the flux capacitor and turn the bogon inspectors up to 46, and it was gobbledygook to Hervé what I was saying, and it wasn't Hervé's fault, and it wasn't necessarily my fault. We were dealing with languages where we hadn't got a common framework in terms of just idea, in terms of computer science idea. So I said, right, I'm going to record a video that I can show to Hervé what it is I mean. And then I stopped to think, and I said, if I'm going to go into the effort of pulling this video, I should make a series that other people can pick up, because if a smart person like Hervé can't understand that Jenkins can do this or doesn't even know this, there are other people who don't know this. And so that was one thing. I wanted to be able to show people like Hervé, you know, what Jenkins can do. I also wanted, like, I have limits on spare time, and there's so much I want to be able to do for various projects, and there's so much family stuff I want to do. And so I wanted to be able to provide help for the Maven project where I can actually provide that help. So I can give help to Maven project in terms of it's efficient for me with knowing Jenkins. It's efficient for me to actually provide help with Jenkins infrastructure. And so it was like, hey, this is something I can do where I'm giving Maven help and I'm also giving Jenkins help and all these sort of things. And then the third kind of thing I really wanted to do was, in some ways, when you see tutorials online, for me, the tutorials always show this happy, perfect, neatly curated path through where nothing goes wrong. And there is no learning from doing something right the first time. The learning is when you make the mistake and you fix the mistake and you go on. And that's why, like, a lot of companies will say, you know, on your first day, you're going to deploy to production. It's to say, hey, you know, this isn't scary. But, you know, it's not just the fact that it's not scary. It's that even if something goes wrong, it's how you go about fixing it. That's what leads you to learn. And our fear of showing people stuff going wrong. If you were writing a blog post, you want to make it like, it's perfect. Look how wonderful I am. Haven't I brilliant? And, you know, that ego comes through even when you don't want it to. And for me, I wanted to be able to say, look, stuff goes wrong and stuff is going to go wrong, and you can fix the stuff that goes wrong, and that's a good thing. It's an exercise for learning. So that's kind of to kind of get from the series.
Okay. And this is, we saw that it was live, it was prepared, I imagine, a bit on your side, but at the end, you explored a lot of stuff in the different episodes. When you wrote the code, we saw you doing some copy paste and sometimes doing some errors, and we wanted just to tell you, hey, you did an error when in this copy paste. But in your side, Zeus, what did you discover? What surprised you when you did this exercise?
So there was one, episode 3 for me had the biggest surprise. So I knew what the functionality could kind of do, but it was like in episode 2, stuff just didn't work, and I was like left trying to battle it. But in episode 3, I got something to work. I didn't believe that it was working. I don't know how much it comes true, but like I was digging around for like about 2 or 3 minutes going, in part going, why is this working? It just wasn't supposed to work yet. Very much surprised me. I'd written a lot of background code in other plugins, and those plugins had this background code, and all the functionality just meshed together in a way far better than I expected it to. That was definitely something that surprised me. And the other thing that surprised me was just how fun doing the series was. Go and spend ages prepping things, because I was tricking myself by saying, okay, I know roughly where I want to go. I know roughly what I want to do in this. Well, I haven't tried doing it before. I hadn't done any prep. I was doing it live. So that actually was a lot more fun than I expected it to be.
Okay. That was fun. At least on my side, when I watched them, it was really fun. Fun to see you failing and succeeding, and sometimes succeeding when you didn't expect it. For sure, it was funny. And those, what worked well on your side, especially those in the recording, but also in the content. What was fine on your?
So like I have this inner perfectionist, and it like, you know, I have that previous blog series I did. It actually took me, you know, to write 5 blog posts previously took me like something like 6 or 7 months just to craft them to perfection. I'm entirely happy with them. But like for me, the live recording and saying it's live and saying that I'm recording an image and I'm recording my video so I can't cheat and go back and edit stuff. And actually, and with it being my audio and with it being my video, like I hear my voice differently because it's inside my ear than everyone else does. And I'm constantly amazed that people actually put up listening to me, because when I hear my voice played back, it just sounds horrible. Trust me, what I hear from my voice is far more dulcet and much better. And I'm also used to looking at myself in the mirror, not looking at myself in the camera, which flips me around. So there's just something ever so subtly wrong about the look of my face. So I can't stand the sight of me, and I can't stand to hear myself talk. So if I had to edit those videos, nothing would get done. And so all of this defeated my inner perfectionist. So that worked really well. I also think that, you know, I identified a specific audience and a specific task, and that worked really well because I was always able to keep in mind I'm trying to aim this at Hervé. Even if I can't pronounce Hervé's name, I'm aiming it at Hervé and I'm identifying it at Hervé. And, you know, having the specific task being, you know, okay, I want to deliver this functionality for the Maven project. I could have gone and taken a generic topic in Jenkins plugin development and tried to do something generically. But having the concrete thing to focus on actually allowed me to get something done. And then I was surprised how well deploying into production worked well as well. So we managed to get this into production. We turned on the feature, we started using it, and very quickly we now have a very nice build process for all the Git repos that the Apache Maven has. So that worked well. I'm very happy with that.
And those, in the other side, what would you like to improve, at least for the next time? What are the things which were less succeeding?
Less good, yes. The negatives. So in this case, we actually have kind of two topics where I would probably have preferred to have one. So it was both a plugin tutorial and a Jenkins file development tutorial. So I have like some topics where I'm like covering how you structure Jenkins files and some of the what I see as the best policies and procedures and how to manage your Jenkins files. And then I have other ones where I'm like, okay, here's how you write plugins, here's how you do different things, here's how you debug plugins, here's how you deal with dependency hell in Jenkins plugins. And I don't feel I was doing any of those topics full justice. Now, maybe the mix was actually a good thing in that I would have dived too much. But for me, I think it would have been good if I could find a topic that wasn't biting off so much. For this particular series, for Hervé's request, I had no choice but to bite off this much. But I think it might have been nicer if I could have had a more focused topic. I also, and I've got a clock looking, and I'm going on doing it again. I need a clock in my behind me that I can actually look at and see, because there were some of those episodes, and in my head I was thinking this will be a 20-minute episode, and I look at the clock and it's 40 minutes, and I'm like, oh my. And you know, okay, 10 minutes of it might have been something going wrong, and I correct it. Half an hour, but you know, it would have been better if I had a clock that I could actually see. And then if I look at what I would do for the next series, I think there's some areas of Jenkins and Maven interacting that kind of we need to find a better solution for. So like something like the inter-repository triggering and linking. Like when you're developing a feature and it's in one repository and another repository, and you've got a branch in one repository and a branch in another repository, how do we get those dependencies to cross-merge, and how do we manage that? We don't have a good story in Jenkins. We don't have a good story in Maven as to how to handle those kind of cross-branch features and this. And it's tricky for people to develop these things. And I guess it's tricky because it's a hard problem in some sense. How do you communicate they're related when they have no relationship other than you in your head know, hey, these things are related? But you know, that kind of thing. And another thing I think for the Apache Foundation, this gives us a really good integration with Gitbox, which is a really good solution that Apache Infra have come up with. And like, I only wish Gavin's didn't have the family sickness that he had to deal with his 1-year-old. I would have loved to have been able to congratulate Infra on just how good a job they've done with that Gitbox integration.
Yeah.
But the next phase, I think, is we need to find some way of getting GitHub pull request building on Apache Infra. And that opens up a whole can of problems and associated things that we don't want to tackle at this stage. But you know, they all need to be solved if we want to be having code that's contributed by people who are just driving by the project, and then that actually runs on our build server. Like, you know, they can go. You have the risk of somebody in a unit test going and writing a unit test that actually goes and does Bitcoin mining. and all these things. Like, how do you protect the Apache infra from somebody going and writing a unit test that does Bitcoin mining and filing a pull request for that if your pull request is automatically built? So, like, those kind of issues, we need good ways to solve those, and good ways to handle that. And, like, to me, that's another set of class of problems. I don't think that those are necessarily problems that are entirely suited to a Watch Me Code series. But, you know, maybe when we've got some of the solutions, a Watch Me Code series addressing how you to use those solutions, that would probably be a good thing.
Good. Good. Thanks again, Stephen. So, let's now discuss with Hervé. So, you are the one who started this need, and you relaunched
He unknowingly.
Yeah. This topic to switch from Subversion to Git is in the Apache Maven side for a long time, too long time. But like you will explain, but it was we are facing of a lot of constraint. Thus, who are you, Hervé? What are you doing in the Maven side?
Yeah, thank you, Arno. So I'm a Maven PMC member for quite a few years, and I'm working on improving our contribution process because we need contributors, we need contributions. And nowadays, there are a lot of things to improve. There is a website, there are explanations on a lot of topics. And one key thing that we need is to use nowadays Git pull requests, who will help a lot having new contributors. So for a good number of years, we started to switch to Git, and there were a lot of hurdles. The first ones were to have a smooth switch to Git, and with Gitbox, Infra prepared everything. So every easy migration was done last years. But nowadays, there are 2 Subversion repos that we can't switch easily, because from 2 Subversion repos, we must switch to 20 plus 40 Git repos. It will be 60 repos. And switching to such a large number of Git repos would just completely mess Jenkins. So it was not an option to switch to Git on these repos until now, until Stefan did the job he did.
Okay. Okay, so this is what you were expecting. It is to find a solution, especially at the CI side, to handle the scale in terms of number of repositories and the number of builds, and to improve the integration we can have with Git and GitHub as part of this effort, because like you say, it is now an important vector to receive contribution, and for sure with Subversion, it's a bit limited nowadays to receive some external contributions. So these are parts of your expectations you had from this series.
Yes, and we discussed a lot with Stefan for years, and he had a lot of ideas, but every time it was just ideas. So I needed a demo before starting to work on actual code change, because I knew that the hurdle to this scale was so high that I would not start working on migration until I had a demo, and not just dreams that like we had for years.
Because what we didn't mention, but it is also the heart of the problem nowadays, is that in Subversion, if we had one repo, before all, we had a reactor, what we call a reactor build in Maven, to launch a build of many projects in one step, those, especially for plugins or components or things like this. And those, instead of maintaining one job for each plugin we have in the Maven community, we had the ability to have only one build for all plugins, with various advantages, but also issues with this, to mix all of them in one build. But at least in terms of maintenance and in terms of setup, it was easy to do. So what you wanted is to have a solution which was able to to scale, but in terms of human also, because we don't want to spend our limited time on the Maven side to manage this kind of stuff, because at the end it's just it's not the core of the project, which is to maintain the CI and to try to improve that.
Yes, for sure. With one job that is maintained, every time you change one plugin, it rebuilds absolutely everything. So it was not an issue at infra side, because for one plugin there is some jobs that run for more than 1 hour long. It's long, but we are used to it. But I didn't want just to copy paste one job to 40 jobs, because maintaining 40 jobs would not be something that I would like to do now.
And those what worked well for you with this set of videos done by Stephen. What did you learn? What did you got from them?
In fact, I didn't expect the solution to be an organization plugin, Jenkins plugin, because in fact I did not know even the GitHub organization plugin. I did not know it, and imagining that the solution for our issue would be an ASF organization plugin. It was a real surprise. I did not expect either that the solution would come from a live series, because when Stefan proposed to do a live series, oh, Stefan is doing something funny, but what will I get at the end? I don't know, but if it's the way he wants to go, let's do it, because I knew that there were a huge work, and I knew that I could not do it. So let's see what he does with this series. And when he added, there were a lot of discussion also on the standard build, and the standard build was a big discussion for years, and it was just discussions. And this time, the beginning of the series about the organization was very clear from the beginning, and it was surprising but very clear. Then, when he started to switch to the notion of library of standard builds, I was completely amazed, because it worked well, and the integration, the Jenkins file we have at the end, is really amazing versus the Jenkins files that was done for Maven core at the beginning, which is nowadays not so good at the emails, at the notification level. So really, the result is completely incredible, because I understand it. That was not easy, but the series was useful for that, because it's just not a big change that comes in at your face, but it is explained step by step, and the result is big, but you understand every step, because it is done live, and the scalability is incredible as a result. And the switch went like a breeze, and infra didn't blow up. It was not so easy to do.
Yeah, because this is also what is important and interesting in this effort, is that the Apache Foundation, as it is managing really a large instance, in a large Jenkins instance with all projects, they are not focusing only on Apache Maven project. For sure, Apache Maven project is important, but like any other project, and thus we cannot on our side propose the stuff which are not compatible with what they are doing on the infrastructure side, but also in the community side. So this is really really important to see what Stephen was able to implement and to be compatible with what was doing the infrastructure team. It is really great, and for us for sure. And thus, from your point of view, what we could improve? From what Stephen did, what are the next steps? What are the improvements that you think that we may have?
So the next steps before I switch to this 60 Git repos, because I will do it at the end of the month if everything works well. So nowadays, the limitation that I have with the current setup is currently we have a whole bunch of Jenkins pipeline jobs that are done, and then I have a clear view of a lot of branch, and currently I don't know how master branches are working, because every build, every Jenkins, I don't remember the term, because every multi-branch job is cloudy, because in general there is one branch that does not work. So what I expect now is to have something clear from master point of view on each job. I need to be sure that every master works well. I don't care if branches are not working, but master should work. The next big thing that I expect is to have the key feature is auto rebuild when a snapshot is built. So dependencies between builds, because this will be the next big feature. We lost with the Avil plugin that Stefan is just throwing away, but we need it now. So the dependencies between jobs to automatically rebuild when snapshot is built would be a great enhancement.
Okay.
And then the next little stupid thing would be to have a real release of the plugin, because currently Infra just deployed a snapshot. It's not good to deploy a snapshot to a production Jenkins instance. So I expect to have a real release. Seriously, Stefan, it's not possible to deploy in production a snapshot. No.
I asked Infra that they said they were fine with a snapshot. So you know.
Yes, but you can't do that. No, not the guy who is just telling the Avil plugin is Avil. Snapshots are Avil in production.
No, not so much. It depends where they are coming from.
No.
It's a matter of point of view. Okay, that's a good feedback, Hervé. Thanks a lot. Bobby, your turn. Let's introduce yourself, because I think that you are known in the Jenkins community, less in the Maven side. Who are you?
Well, I'm Robert Sandell, aka Bobby. I started with using Jenkins a long while ago, and sort of we knew back then that we chose Jenkins because it was extensible. So doing the extensions, after a while, we realized that this should be contributed back, the things that we did when I was working at Sony Mobile. So that sort of started the whole ball rolling on doing contributions and working with the community to enhance Jenkins forward. And then one day, out of the blue, came a mail from Kosuke Kawaguchi asking me if I wanted to join Cloudbase, and I could not refuse that offer. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm a software engineer at Cloudbase, mostly working open source in the Jenkins community with plugins and all that. So I'm a colleague of Stephen. I think Stephen is on the engineering side, almost the closest engineer to where I am in the south of Sweden in the company.
Okay, and those on your side, I imagine you discovered this blog post on our own blog, those at Cloudbase side. What did you expect from it? Is it something that you were looking, because I imagine you have a lot of knowledge on pipeline, multi-branches, as you are already an expert in Jenkins. So it's not like Hervé who discovered a lot of things in Jenkins itself. So what were you looking for in this blog series?
Yeah, so disclaimer here maybe is that I've been Steven's rubber duck on a lot of these SEM API plugin suite that we're calling it, the thing that the first couple of videos was about. And I've also done a lot of the code reviews on the later things that Steven has been doing. So I was sort of looking for some insights into the things I missed while doing the code review, and sort of getting a deep dive into Steven's brain a bit more, as scary as that might sound.
There is some depth when you're diving, yes.
Yes, I mean, I came in from, even though Steven explained to me that the aim of the series was mostly to help Hervé, I was hoping to at least get other things out of it in terms of more plugin development stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And those, what did you appreciate in this series? What worked well in this series for you?
Well, I didn't learn anything new, unfortunately, but I think that Steven pointed out quite a lot of good things that we as plugin developers that are doing this for a living, we know these things, but it's not documented anywhere. It's not sort of communicated out to a wider audience, like the class loader issues, how to do the dependencies and those types of stuff. That was good that those things came out and was communicated and explained in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also liked the pipeline stuff, because that was done sort of on a case by case. From Steven mostly wrote that from scratch in the video series, and that pace I think was good in how it was communicated.
Okay, and those from your point of view, what we could improve in this kind of exercise, because those it was really interesting, but what could we do better in this?
Yeah, so I mean, as we usually say when we do a review on a pull request, I have mostly nits. So I mean, the way the cut and paste thing, that's how we do coding nowadays. We copy something from another plugin and then we tweak it. But I think that got the audience lost. If you go into this video series trying to learn how to implement an SEM navigator, for example, that just copying and pasting that code, that it got me lost even. I don't know what 80% of that code does, because it was mostly copied in and then tweaked. That's how we do it mostly, but it didn't turn out well in a video series, I think. It showed quite good when the pipeline stuff came on, because that was sort of handwritten almost line by line, and Steven had time to explain what he was thinking as he was writing those lines. But the cut and paste part sort of removed the nature of sort of explaining what is happening on screen at the moment, I think. The pub sub thingy, I haven't seen it or heard about it before, so that was just magic to me. Maybe it was what Steven said, that I have no idea how that worked. It just seemed to be working. It didn't do anything, and it just worked. And I have no idea how that turned out.
Well, that was an earlier plugin bit of code that I developed that I was building on top of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's partly thanks to Apache Infra. Like that code, some of it is the SEM API event handling, and if you implement the events appropriately, it just all works. And this is partly what surprised me in episode 3. But some of it is just the amazing work Humdeboo did for Daniel Gruno, is it? For Apache Infra. Like Git PubSub is just amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
But it's not well documented, so it's
God,
amazing
no.
that you managed to use it. And nowadays I understand it better because I saw how you use it. Then I tried to dig into details. I think I should work with infra to document it better, because people should deploy such a tool on-prem when they have a huge deployment, because it's great. Git PubSub is impressive.
We were supposed to have somebody from Apache Infra on this call. Sadly, they had one of their children has a tummy bug or something like this to join. So I think Arnaud is going to wear the hat of the Apache Infra person. So yeah. Wearing that Apache Infra person hat, do you wish to introduce yourself as Gavin?
It may be fun, but no. Let's be. Those, yes, Gavin gave me his feedback just while we are recording. Those, but yeah, those Gavin was supposed to join. Is system administrator at the ISF for a long time. Those since 2009. Those and he's volunteer on the Apache side for more time. He joined in 2006. Those that's a long time contributor on the infra side, and we know ourselves on the community side how it is important to have these guys who are taking care of the infrastructure. It's not easy, and sincerely, this is really remarkable and really fine to have the guy. And those. What he was expecting at the origin, nothing, because he wasn't part of the discussion. He was just an actor. He wasn't expecting anything, but for sure he was impacting as soon as we told him to deploy it and to see what could be also the impact from on his side as administrator of the CI instance. But like he told us, but it's a really big instance. So this is what is a challenge in this implementation and this kind of topic, is that we are talking. I don't have the numbers, sadly. That sadly he is not here, but the number of jobs we have in the Apache instance is really big with all the infra the project we have in the community. Those what worked well was what he appreciated. At least for now, in the current state of the implementation, for sure, it's to not have to manually manage and configure the checkout of all the jobs we have, because it is what they had to do now. It was to manage manually all these kind of jobs for many Git repositories, and for sure, with the switch from Subversion to Git, they have many more repositories who really appreciate to not have this checkouts and these projects to manage manually. And what could we improve? What could you improve, Stephen? For now, it doesn't have a long feedback because the plugin is in production for a few weeks only. I don't remember exactly, Stephen, but on probably 2 or 3 weeks, I don't remember. But for now, even if it is a big instance, even if in the Apache side, in the Maven side, we start to deploy it slowly, it doesn't see any performance issue. And this is also the goal. This plugin is interesting by this approach where we are pushing, and this is not a polling approach where, like I think we have in many other projects, because we are polling the SCM. Thus, in terms of load, in terms of scale, it is really better to have this kind of approach. Thus, it is really more interesting to have this. Sorry.
So after the evil Maven plugin, there is the evil polling, and it is a solution to the evil polling.
It is known. I think it is Koshuke who wrote a blog post a long time ago explaining how polling must die. And this is a basic part where the CI is stopping to work when you are asking to the CI server to pull all your repositories, and especially when in Git you have thousands of repositories and more of branches. Those it's a nightmare to manage at the CI level. Those the new approach is really better for this kind of thing.
So I think we only have like 4 minutes left. So while we had planned to kind of do a bit of a roundtable discussion, I don't know that we necessarily have much time available.
We
for
have
it.
10 minutes, a little bit less, yes.
Maybe we can do one topic if there's something you think that is particularly common of a thread.
I think the most common thing we hear that is a big lake of documentation, but I don't think it is a topic we can address here. But it is, and what is important, it is almost everywhere. So I think it remains that it is important, this kind of exercise of doing these videos. But writing documentation also is a good thing to do. But something where I think where we could discuss more, it is about the next steps, because here we have a system working where we are able to check out a project or at least a repository with all its branches to build them on demand and so on. But what are the next steps for each of you? From Hervé, you already told that for you there are these notions of dependencies triggering across projects with a snapshot and things like this. There are the few issues like the weather things, but I think it's less interesting. But if we try to look at the CI/CD needs nowadays in such kind of projects, what are for each of you the improvements and the next step we should do on the Jenkins side and also potentially in the Apache Maven side? Stefan?
So from my point of view, I think there's a lot about continuous delivery that people don't understand about Jenkins and about Maven. I see a lot of people complaining with Maven about, how Maven doesn't, they think Maven doesn't do continuous delivery because they see the release plugin as constantly changing the POM and putting the version in the POM. And I would feel that that's actually just, you're using Maven wrong. Maven gives you a set of tooling for making releases, and it gives you the Maven release plugin as Apache's process requirements codified in a plugin using that tool chain. And what the Maven project says is kind of if the tooling we provide doesn't fit your need, you should create your own plugin that uses the Apache release tool chain to codify your own plugin requirements for release process. And I think on top of that, even just how we use the release plugin, like where we actually commit to master with the release version and then we tag and then we commit off, that's kind of dictated by a lot of the traditional SCM features. If I was using Git, I would actually not even push the changes to master. I would only push the tag and I would throw away the changes to master. And that way the main release line just stays. And I'd probably even nearly go so far as to just have it with a version that's just like snapshot, no number. And so for me, that would be how I would do continuous delivery with Maven. And then with Jenkins even there, I think there's a lot of practice as to how you actually do continuous delivery with Jenkins. Do you make those releases every build, how you integrate those, and how you integrate that with your Jenkins file. I think there's a lot of stuff don't understand how to do things, in part because we haven't figured out for everybody the best ways of doing these things. Maven did a lot in terms of, here is how you do a standard build of a Java project. Here's how you do a standard build of a web app. But we haven't taken that and moved it to next stages. Here's how you do it, here's how you do continuous delivery. People don't have those examples. So they go running around inventing different things and hitting walls that they don't realize aren't supposed to be there. That for me would be.
And you have, I saw your head a little bit.
Oh yeah, the continuous delivery. I'm not in at all. So, but for sure, I think that there is a lot of misunderstanding on what continuous delivery it could be and the impacts of this whole new way of doing things. I suppose there will be two words, words who want to do continuous delivery, but it has so much impact at every level. And for the classical delivery model, and at the moment I'm more focused on the classical delivery model. So for me, clearly, it's a snapshot. It's a key question. We had some discussion 1 year ago at Devox France. I don't know if you remember, Arnaud, but this is a topic that is discussed for years now, and there is no solution at the moment. So if it could be like it was with this series, that. Because I heard a lot of analysis, a lot of ideas. Now the ideas have to become concrete in a demo. And if doing a demo means doing a web series, just do it.
What I hear also is that when you talk about snapshot and the need of that's right, that nowadays and in typical developments we are using snapshots to link projects or components together and to try to have this chain of dependencies and to keep some independence between all these modules. What is difficult nowadays to automate, and this is what Stephen started to explain. This is how you can manage the identity of all this, because if nowadays we have different branches in development for a given component, how do you identify each branches? How do you use, if you have the dependencies in Maven land, you define your own versions, your own snapshots as dependencies, but those in that case, how do you retrieve your own the right set of dependencies for your own branch and things like this? This topic is complex. For sure, the usage of multi-branches is moving to. This is what also is changing nowadays, because with the old jobs, with the Maven jobs, the heavy ones, as it was difficult to maintain over the time, for sure, we never created any job for feature branches or any branch we had on our side. So we didn't have this problem. But nowadays, with multi-branches jobs, we can easily have a lot of jobs for the same component. And thus, what are we doing with them? What should we do with this kind of CI chain?
And I think it could be too easy to think that the snapshot problem is exclusive to Maven. Anyone else who's doing any kind of non-release version or PMs will have the same set of problems. All the other build tool systems typically will have the same set of problems. You have dependencies which are external and you need to fetch them, and you've got two different kinds of things. You've got the actual release versions, and you've got the interim build, development builds, and you need to pull from the corresponding feature branch, or even you might need to pull from a build that is constructed on the fly that's a merge of 5 different feature branches. Problems you need to work with feature branches and to work with continuous delivery. And I think, it would be naive to think it's just a Maven problem. It's a generic problem, and Maven just happens to see it.
And I think it's a good exercise for your next series of blog posts. It is to work on this and to explain what we should try to how we could achieve this.
I laughed out loud. I had to mute myself when Hervé was talking about that snapshot thing, because Stephen have been haunting internally for development time on that. He wrote up a design, what is it, a year and a half ago at least?
2.5 years ago.
Sorry? 2? Yeah.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and has been on every single occasion he gets to mention that we should do it, he does. He mentions it. So it's a dear problem that I've heard plenty of. We need to get the evil job type away, and this is how we should do it. Just give me time to do it. But even as I was...
It's only a 48-page spec. I don't know why people run away from it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, even microservices that are apparently so popular today, if you want to do continuous delivery with microservices, you need to verify with whatever latest snapshot you have, or because microservices, as I understand it, is the intention is there that you're not supposed to build a big pile of mud. You're supposed to build every single component and release them individually. And if you cannot test with the latest stuff and make sure that the latest stuff works with the even newer stuff, yeah. So I think the snapshot problem comes in there as well.
But we are back to the classical topic, which is here for years and years and years, microservices or web services or whatever you want. This is the integration concerns, how you integrate all these components, how you manage to test all of this, and between what you have in production or in different environments. This is what we try to solve nowadays.
Yeah. So I think that sort of the next steps, at least that I think of, is that these two open source communities needs to attract a lot more contributors, because somewhere in that big soup of new people coming in is also new ideas that eventually get concreted down. I think the more the merrier, even though there are 20 crap solutions coming out of it, somewhere in there is a nugget of things that we can continue working on.
I think what's happened is we have a great way of distracting ourselves from hard problems. So if you look, like, have this problem, this is the problem. I think this is a key problem in software engineering, is this dependency and integration problem. And what we've done is we've gone and distracted ourselves by going around running and trying different build tools, by going around and saying, hey, let's go microservices. So everybody now starts re-architecting the code for microservices. But we never stopped to address the actual root problem. And so all we've done is we've busy worked ourselves writing these microservices, converting everything to microservices architecture without actually solving the integration problem. And, you know, we've done it on the belief that this will solve magically. It's a magic wand. It'll come in and it will solve our integration problem. But the reality is, all it did is it gave us busy work and time when we could have been solving the integration problem. Instead, we've distracted ourselves and we've solved other problems because, hey, that's solving problems. But it doesn't actually necessarily solve the integration problem. And maybe it helps us get a bit closer to the solution, but it hasn't been the solution.
Agreed. Thus, I think we will stop here. 45 minutes later. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot, Stephen, for all the work you achieve there. We hope to see new episodes in your near future.
I don't think it should just be down to me producing, like, a Watch Me Code style video series. I think it's a format I like, and I would hope to do more. But I think, you know, if I can spawn a legion of followers, of people following by explaining more and using this,
yeah,
super awesome. And it means there's less I have to do.
No, I think it was really interesting. Like you said, the mix of how to use and how to implement. It could be surprising for some people, and for some, depending of the skills you have, cannot be matching your expectation. But I think it was interesting from this point of view to have both views. But for sure, if we could try to have some focus on how to use, how to implement properly your pipelines, multi-branches jobs like you did, I think it's really really helpful for a lot of people outside. So thanks a lot, Stephen.
It's really easy also. All you need is like a piece of green paper. You stick it behind you, and then you subtract the green.
If you want to see your face.
I think the face does actually make a difference. I think it is easier to watch a video when you actually have somebody else that you can talk to. So while I originally was just going to record the audio, and then I said, no, having the face will make me be honest, and I actually think it was probably a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, thanks again. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you very much for everyone agreeing, for Herb, and for Robert, and for Arno, for agreeing to moderate. Thank you very much. Let's see what the next season brings.
Thanks. Bye.
Maybe the next one will compete with Stranger Things.
Let's try to compete. Good. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Hey. Bye. Thank you very much.
Yeah.